This is a public service announcement. This is a public service announcement. What you're about to listen to may make you yell, shout, smile, and even laugh out loud. Youth baseball players, coaches, and fans join the Slide Podcast crew on their journey to make baseball fun again. Hear stories from players of all ages, plus tips and tricks from coaches and scouts. Now, if you're ready, give us a loud play ball.
Play ball!
Lila, that good?
That was good.
All right, we're back. Welcome back to the Slide Podcast, everyone. We are in the middle of July now. This year is flying by. And joining with me today is Lila Brickwall-Bratch. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I am like running in all different directions right now, Lila. There's not enough hours in the day. Like, just way too much. Now, are you and the girls getting excited about coming to Cleveland?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? So what can we expect? You're going to give us any sneak peek or anything, what we're going to see from these girls?
No sneak peeks.
No sneak peek. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Shock and awe. Shock and awe is how I like it. So now for everyone listening, this banana ball tournament that we've been talking about for a while now is coming up, and we are almost, I think, like 3 weeks away from this thing. So
like 19 days or something like that.
I know. There's a lot of kids out there with a countdown going on. So it is, I'm getting excited more and more each day. So, and it's the first time that you and I will actually get to meet each other in person.
Yeah.
I know we've known each other for like 2 years now. And so I finally get to meet a lot of kids. Alvin Thomas, who was on the show last season, he didn't tell me. I think he was going to surprise me, but I happened to notice his name on one of the rosters, and I sent his mom a text, and I'm like, "Are you guys coming to Cleveland?" And they were like, "Yeah, we weren't going to tell you." So we're going to see a lot of familiar faces there. So, Lila, what are you looking forward to it the most?
I'm just excited for all of it, honestly, the whole experience. It's going to be real fun.
We have got some really cool stuff planned, and Coach Viro, Coach Gillum, and we were having a really cool call yesterday and working out some details for Wednesday afternoon. And I don't think I've told you what we're doing Wednesday afternoon. And just because you don't give me a sneak peek, I'm not going to give you a sneak peek either, okay?
Dang.
Listen,
now I'm really not giving you a sneak peek.
No, listen, you wore me and Jen out on one of our last episodes, so I got to give it back to you a little bit. So anyway, all right. Well, we're here today, and our guest, who you heard lead us off in the show, is Mr. Josh Cathcart. Hitting done right. Josh, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are y'all?
We're doing good, man.
I know. Good.
Yeah, it's been really hard for us to get all together, and Josh, I apologize to you for that. But hopefully things start calming down a little bit for us soon. But man, I appreciate your patience.
Absolutely, man.
And
I know how it goes between getting people on lives and doing podcasts and running camps and tournaments and everything else. Everybody's busy and scrambling around. So
yeah,
no worries.
No doubt. Well, cool, man. Well, you've made your name widely known out in the universe around your hitting expertise. And before we get into a lot of like technical hitting questions and all that fun stuff, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Like playing days, where you're from, all that fun stuff.
I'm from the Houston area, born and raised. The town I grew up in was Lake Jackson, which is about an hour south of Houston, right by the beach, Surfside, Galveston area. Played baseball there in high school at Brazilwood High School. Had small school offers to go play college, and we didn't have all the information that we have now. So I made the mistake of not taking the small offers and going as a preferred walk-on at Texas A&M. Got there and found out very quickly that I wasn't that good. And so baseball was pretty much done a month after that for me. And then I tore my shoulder apart. So I couldn't play anymore, really. I mean, even after the surgery and everything else, I couldn't have come back the way that I wanted to.
Your rotator cuff, or?
Yeah, it was rotator cuff and labrum.
Wow.
And then my sophomore year in college, when I came home, I was asked to help coach my cousin's, which was at the time Babe Ruth Summer League team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went out and helped with some practices and did that kind of stuff, and just fell in love with the coaching aspect of it. When I graduated from college, came home, my degree from Texas A&M is actually in sports management.
Okay.
So I was working to try to run the Academy sporting goods stores. Was there, I don't know, a couple months, 6 months, almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
And my high school baseball coach called me and said, "Hey man, I heard you were in town." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you want a job?" I said, "Well, I have a job." He said, "Well, do you want a coaching job?" And I said, "Yeah, what you got?" He said, "You got freshman baseball. You're going to be by yourself. You don't have an assistant." I said, "That sounds great, except there's one problem. I don't have a teaching certificate." I said, we'll get that worked out. We can get an alternative certification. You can work through the process. So long story short, I did all that. I did some teaching, PE. What we had then was called in-school suspension, ISS.
Yeah.
So I did in-school suspension for a year. And then when I finally got my physical education teaching certificate, I did elementary PE for 6 years, and then was coaching high school baseball. And I did freshman for 3 years, JV for 3 years, I think, 4 maybe, and then varsity, infield and hitting assistant coach for a couple years. And in 2011, we actually won the state championship in Texas.
Wow.
For 6A, which is the biggest division in Texas. So, yeah, man, it was a fun ride. And then from there, at that point, I was married and I had an infant, and decided that just coaching high school baseball and teaching wasn't going to allow me and my wife and baby to live the way we wanted.
Yep.
So I went and interviewed, talked to, wasn't really an interview, turned into an interview. At first it was just a question and answer session, but it turned into an interview, at Hardball Academy in Pearland, which is where I still work. Started there in 2012. And then started online in 2018 with another online business that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And then that one was dissolved in the end of 21. Started Hitting Done Right in 22. And here we are. And it has been crazy. I've done camps all over the country. I have a YouTube channel. I have the Instagram. I have the TikTok. I got all of that. And then just being able to do things like this, man, talk to baseball people.
Yeah.
Whether it's hitting or whether it's banana ball or whether it's 13-year-old girls that are popping up on podcasts at 10 in the morning when I'm not expecting it, it's just whatever it is, man. But, I'm a baseball guy through and through. My biological dad was a big-time college guy, was drafted. My mom played big-time softball before softball was big-time. So it just in my blood. It's all I've ever done professionally, other than like I said, a year at Academy Sporting Goods. But other than that, it's been baseball going on 23 years now.
That's crazy. Well, it's funny when you said Academy. So I worked in big box retail as well for 26 years. And I worked for, I won't put the company name out there, but the big box electronics store, the one that survived when Circuit City closed. I was at 26 years, man. And I learned a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot of stuff not to do. So
there we go.
It set me on my path. And like you know, when I was growing up, and I've said this so many times on the show, so I apologize to our listeners, but you know, I had hopes, dreams, and aspirations of playing in the MLB as well. And like you said, you know, I realized at some point my confidence actually was what hurt me. But you know, I took a different route, and somehow this social media thing and podcast thing pulled me back into sports. And so now I got a career with the Bananas, and you know, it's crazy how it works, man. You and I are similar ages, man, and we're
Yeah.
having to adapt to this social media world, man. How was that for you?
It was pretty weird, man. I get, you know, due to my following now, and now I'm not, compared to others out there, I'm not big. At the time when I first got started in 2018, and there was only about 3 or 4 what I would consider big online instructors.
Mm-hmm.
There was Antonelli, there was uh, Yugo Pro with John Madden.
Yep.
There was Teacher Man kind of starting and doing his stuff, but that was about it when I first started. And now, dude, you've got hundreds,
Yeah.
and the followings are big. But I tell people all the time, in 2018, I didn't know what Instagram was, and I'm not being like sarcastic. Like I honestly, I had Facebook. It was my personal Facebook. There was no TikTok, and my business partner at the time, she was like, you know what? She's like, you're pretty good with these drills and stuff. We should do this online. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll put it out there. And it just freaking blew up, man. And so I had to learn it and all of that. People ask me all the time, though, you know, what are your strategies? How do you get this following? My strategy is to shoot video on my film or on my phone. I put a caption on there and I post it.
Yep.
Like, I don't have an editing team. I don't do anything fancy. What you see is what you get. I piss a lot of people off because I'm blunt and sarcastic. But at the same time, people appreciate the realness.
Well, that's me. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate, it really comes down to just your confidence. I mean, you're confident in what you're teaching, and that allows you to be honest with people. And that's what's missing on so many people today is just be honest.
Well, I did a post the other day about something. It's just, my mom, I was raised to just tell people what you feel. So there's no question, you know, you're never going to have to question how I feel about something, what I'm thinking, etc.
Yep.
I hate it when you got to like pull things out of people. So I put something, what did it say? Something along the lines of, you know, just straightforward communication nowadays is seen as aggressive.
Right.
When in reality, it's just black and white. Like, here it is. This is what I'm thinking. This is the situation. Whatever. So,
well, that's the people that may disagree with you. They are the ones that want to view it as aggressive, when in reality, see, that's the problem with today. I mean, that was my biggest thing too when starting the podcast is I'm like, I'm about to open myself up to a lot of people, and there's going to be people that disagree with me. And, like you, I was raised in a generation where there's no sense in me hiding my feelings. Like, I mean, why? And I don't waste time on people that I shouldn't waste time on. And, that's just how I kind of live my life. But, there's a lot of people out there that's keyboard warriors, and
well, they're keyboard warriors, and there's a lot of people out there because there's so much money to be made on social media. There's people out there that don't ever want to ruffle feathers.
Right.
Heaven forbid you lose 100 followers because you told somebody the truth.
Right.
And I get in back and forth, with people, and I get it all the time. Well, why do you answer people? Why do you talk to them? Why don't you just block them? Why?
Yeah.
Like, social media so that we can interact. Now, if people get like super disrespectful, for no reason, okay, that's one thing. But just to have conversations when people have difference of opinion or different experiences or whatever, like I just put a post up with Bryce Harper swinging a bat, and the bat has a little bit of flex in it as it's coming down. And everybody's like, that's not really happening. That's a camera trick. That's how digital cameras work, blah, blah, blah. And if you get on Google and does a wood bat flex, the first thing that pops up is yes, there's a small amount of flex in a wood bat. And it's like we can go back and forth over this kind of stuff, but you can always find something to fit your narrative.
Yeah. That's it.
And I smile. People say all the time, they're like, calm down. Like this guy today, he's like, get a grip. I'm like, I got a grip. Like I do this for a living. Like I'm not upset. Like we're having a debate right now.
Right. Well, that's how we learn, though. You know what? If people don't share their points of view, and there's been plenty of times where I've been wrong about a situation, and sometimes there's something to learn, but then you got a lot of people out there that just like to talk to hear themselves talk. So, I mean, it is what it is. So,
the world we live in.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, Lila, fire. What you got?
What you got?
All right. What's the most common issue you see in your hitters' swings?
In the actual swing, or like fundamentally, because the number one problem I see is people that don't know how to load.
There you go.
It's the first move in the swing, and an improper load throws everything else off. Now there can be people that can be a little bit successful, but I tell people all the time, it's like the first move of the entire sequence is off. The rest of the sequence doesn't have a chance.
Right.
So improper load would be number one.
So, Lila, get your elbow up. I'm just kidding.
Hey, maybe that'll help me hit a home run, Aaron. Maybe I should try it. I should try it.
Lila is in search of her very first home run, and hopefully we'll see that one soon. So take some notes here, Lila. Like I'm pretty sure Josh
learn to hit line drives. They'll turn into home runs as you get older.
Yeah,
that's right. Just barrel it up, Lila.
That's it.
Just
barrel party.
That's it. All right. Well, look. So now, what age groups do you traditionally work with, Josh? Are you working with, 6 through 18, or what's your hot spot?
I don't start with them in individual lessons until 9 years old, unless it's a very special case. I have one 8-year-old right now, but when he came in, and he actually started with me when he was 7.
Okay.
And his dad reached out and was like, "Hey, I know you don't usually work with him until 9. I'm trying not to be just that dad, but I think my kid has something special here.
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind at least just taking a look?"
Right.
This kid came in, picks his bat up. I put the ball on the tee, and I'm telling y'all, the first swing he took was one of the most natural-looking, smooth, fluid baseball swings I had ever seen. I turned to his dad. I was like, "I think we can probably work with this."
Now, this wasn't Gianni, was it? Because he's in and around the area that you are too. It wasn't Gianni Baseball Bros.
No,
okay.
No, he's up in Dallas. He's about 4 hours north of me.
Gotcha.
Actually, me and his dad, I met them in person for the first time at ABCA.
Mm-hmm.
But they were here for a tournament, and he was supposed to come to the facility, and we were going to get a session in, and something happened. Their games got rescheduled or travel. Something happened, so I wasn't able to. But no, Gianni had to work at it. That's totally different. Like if you saw a video of him when he was like 5 and 6 years old,
mm-hmm.
like seriously, I love that kid. This is not a knock on him, but he was like he couldn't swing and stand up. Like he has. You want to talk about work ethic and getting after it and chasing a dream? That kid works.
Wow.
This kid I'm talking about, he rolled out of bed and was 7 years old and was swinging it like Griffey Jr.
Wow.
Like he was just born to swing.
Fluid.
I haven't, in 2 years of working with him. He's 9 now. Yeah, 9 now. In 2 years of working with him, I don't know that I have done anything mechanically other than just making sure that he is balanced and that it stays consistent, that he doesn't try to do too much other stuff.
Right.
In the hitting world, that falls into the category of don't screw him up.
Yeah.
So neither one of his parents really did much.
Yeah.
At a high level. But so 9 is when I start. I don't have a lot of young ones like that. My kind of the niche and kind of where I really enjoy and kind of thrive in my element is 13 through college, like 13 to 18.
Okay.
I love, and that kind of just goes back to my high school days. I love that age. They're getting physically more mature, mentally, emotionally more mature. You can have tough conversations with them once you build that trust, about, hey, what do you really want to do? Like, are we MLB aspirations? Or are we just wanting to get to college? Or are you just playing for fun with your buddies in high school? And if it works out, it works out. Like, what level are we at?
Right.
And then be able to coach them according to that. Because with the young ones, when they come into lessons and you ask them, hey, what do you want to do? They're like, oh, I want to be in the MLB. Every single one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the answer because mom and dad are paying for lessons. Where when they get older, they can actually tell you what they really want. And so that makes the training so much easier is not the right word. It's always
there's investment to it. Like you're starting to talk investment. So
yeah,
totally get it. What's some of the big misconceptions that you've found in hitting? Because like you said earlier, there's a hitting coach. I mean, you can just scroll through Instagram and there's hitting coaches out there. Like what's some of the misconceptions that you deal with in your day-to-day profession?
I don't know. I don't even know if misconception is the right word anymore. There are things that older people take as facts and absolutes that just aren't facts and absolutes. And that's probably it. People will be like, oh, it's funny that we were talking about the elbow. Like, there's people that you have to have your back elbow up. No, you don't.
Right.
There's people that, you have to keep your hands above your shoulders. No, you don't. Like, there's so much information out there these days that to put players into this little box and say, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's just ignorant. Like, I could go right now. I was telling a guy online, I have 364 gigs of video on my tablet right now of all hitting video. And I guarantee you all those hitters don't look exactly the same. And they're major league hitters.
Yeah.
They're doing things different. Their hands are different. Their back elbow is different. Their stride is different. Their timing mechanism is different. Their rhythm is different. So I guess that's probably the biggest thing is getting people to really understand and buy in. And if you're really interested, to study and realize that there's more than one way to do this. There's more, if there was one way, every single major league hitter would look exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean, I remember growing up and, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but Julio Franco, swung had to be a 36, 38-inch bat, like long and had it up here.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's what I did.
How he got that bat around and hit the ball was incredible, but everybody can't do it like that. And, I was a big Consequently fan growing up. Consequently had a way of doing it. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of kids, and I coach, youth baseball as well. And, there's a lot of kids that show up for the first day or something, and you're starting to work with them, and they're trying to emulate their MLB star, their favorite player. And it's like, no, that doesn't work for you, bud. We got to figure out how we get your hands around the right way. We've got, it's like, you can't just look at something online or on TV and think that's what I need to do.
Well, that is true, and that's kind of it's one of those. I kind of go both ways. I want and encourage my players to experiment and to find somebody that you want. Now, Julio Franco, Eric Davis, those guys with those huge big moves like that. Maybe not, but I also don't want robots.
Right.
I had a guy on one of my posts the other day. He was like, oh, I go no stride until 12 years old. And I'm like, what? Like, you're taking athleticism away from kids. You're going to tell me that every kid that comes in your facility, you go, all right, no stride until you're 12. All of you, no stride. Like,
well, then there's a learning curve when they actually start to incorporate.
When your parents are like, you can't have a phone until you get to high school. Not till high school.
Not till high school. Yeah, you can't pick your front foot up until you're 12.
Nope.
So but at the same time, everybody moves differently.
Yep.
And so I want my kids to experiment. I want them to, experiment with their bodies. Does a leg kick work for you? Does a toe touch work for you? Does higher hands? Does lower hands? Whatever that is. So experimentation, one of the kind of things, especially with the younger kids that come in and they're trying to be perfect in lessons.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I was like, I want you to think about this batting cage like it's a science lab.
Yep.
And we're running a bunch of experiments in this lab. Sometimes that experiment is going to blow up and it's not going to work, literally. And we're going to have to scratch it. Sometimes stuff is going to end up, we're going to put it together and it's going to be beautiful. So we've got to work through that. And getting young players to understand the process is a little bit tough. But, I think that trying to make everybody swing the same is a huge red flag for me.
Yeah.
From an instruction standpoint, if I see an instructor and every single kid is taught the exact same thing, that's a little bit of a in my world.
I mean, each kid is, their amount of athleticism. I mean, you're going to have kids that are naturally athletic, and you're going to have kids that are very stiff in the box, and teaching them how to relax and be comfortable. And I see so many young hitters walk up to the box and it looks like someone just set them there, like they're froze. And I'm like, dude, you can't be comfortable. Like, you look like you're in pain. Like, relax. And then, and then I have a conversation. Right. And then I have a conversation with the kid, and I changes, I may move his hands one way or another, or move his foot, whatever the case may be. And then I've got parents in the background saying, you got to do this, get that elbow up. And I'm like, no, based on how he gets the bat around, like, I need him doing this. And, it's I'm sure you deal with it. That post you made the other day, though, with the mom, with the video in the cage with you, that was classic. Like,
well, dude, it was funny how many people thought that was like real life.
Well, I did too, until I saw the 30-year-old man standing in the box.
my own brother got on. He's like, "You got me, man." So the way that happened, it's Coach Margot is her name, and we kind of connected on TikTok. And she's a high school softball coach in the Houston area.
Okay.
And she's like, "Hey, I saw that you were in the Houston area. Would you like to do some collaborations?" I was like, "Dude, I am always down to collaborate. Like, what you got?" I was like, "I don't have the ideas. I'm not the idea guy. I just execute the ideas." But whatever. So she came down to my facility and we shot like 10 videos, and 9 of them were serious. Hey, conversations in a cage, what we're trying to teach, all different, educational stuff. And then at the end, she's like, "Hey, I got an idea." And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "What if we do like a really overzealous, like crazy parent in a lesson skit?" And I was like, "I'm down." I was like, "But do not tell me what you're going to say so that my reactions can be genuine."
Yeah.
And she's like, "All right." So the player in that video is her husband. and so he gets in there, and the dude's like 6'5".
Yeah.
I'm like 5'8", so I'm like, all right. And as soon as he stood in the box, she started in, and God, man, it was so like real. Like you can tell that she has grown up around softball parents, crazy baseball parents. Because from the get, and I'm sitting there, and I tried not to lose it, bro. Like,
there was a few times where I thought you were going to.
And then whenever she was like, what did she say? He's hitting the ball hard. He's just not getting on base. I just want him to get on base.
See, that's when I thought that was real. I was like, is she really saying that to him? And then I'm like looking at the surroundings, and I'm like, all right, this has to be staged. Like, oh my gosh. But no, everything that she was saying was legit. I mean, I could totally hear it.
those things. Now, I've never had anybody that loud and like just. Rah, rah, I mean, she was obvious. I mean, she was barking. But I have had parents that come by the cage and they'll stand there and they'll like in the middle like start talking about stuff, and I have had to say I don't mind because I don't mind parents being in there and videoing because I want them to know exactly what I said. I don't want there to be any question when they go home. Hey, coach said do this, or coach said stand here, or coach said whatever. So I encourage them to come in and video unless it's going to be a distraction to the kid.
Right.
But I tell them not to talk. And I've had them before where I've had to say, hey, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to go out and wait in the waiting area or in your car, and we can talk about this later. But never that bad.
You better knock on something because it might be coming your way. Who knows?
Hey, I think by this point, like most people know when they come and work with me what they're getting into.
Yeah.
So I don't think that anybody would go that route. That's kind of a new coach kind of out at like a high school field that people don't really know anything about, and a truly crazy, a little crazy mama.
Yeah. Well, I thought at the end of it you were going to get fed up with her and you were going to say, "Okay, Mom, all right, yep, bye," and like hang up on her. I was like, he's going to walk over and hang up on her, but no, that was a good one. I had to watch that one a couple times. Yeah. So, all right, Lila, what you got?
All right. Who in the MLB do you think like most represents your standards for a swing? Like, who do you think has the best swing according to your standards?
Oh, I tell you what, he's not playing anymore. Newly retired. One of the guys that I have studied for years and years and years, and it's one of my favorite swings of all time, is Miguel Cabrera. So that's, to me, like when I think about a fundamentally sound swing that has produced both power and average over time, Miguel Cabrera is the first one that comes to mind. Manny Ramirez is another really good one from kind of back a little bit.
Yep.
Right now, such a tough question because I love hitting. Right now, if I had to go left-handed, I would go Yordan Alvarez.
All right.
If we're going right-handed right now, not many people can pull it off because not many people are as athletic as him, but Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
But he does things with his body that normal humans can't do. He's not hitting very well currently, but Julio Rodriguez has a very fundamentally sound swing. Oh, you know what? I forget about him because he bailed on us in Houston. Carlos Correa's swing.
Yeah.
Traitor.
Yeah, traitor. But hey, we ended up all right. We got another World Series out of the gig.
There you go. So, well, yeah. Who was your favorite team player when you were growing up? Because we kind of did the same. We were in that same era of baseball.
So like I said, I was born in this area. So my parents had season tickets to the Astros when they were in the Astrodome.
Bagwell.
Yeah. So that's when I grew up. My favorite player, people probably, unless you are a baseball like fanatic, my favorite player growing up was Bill Doran.
Okay.
He was the second baseman for the Astros, early mid '80s. Outside of that, and I know that it kind of clashes because it was at NL Central, but the Chicago Cubs, I was a big Ryan Sandberg fan.
Yeah. Mark Grace,
Sandberg. Mark Grace, Ryan Sandberg, Sean Dunston, Andre Dawson, Greg Maddox early on.
There's the one I know. There's the one I know.
There you go.
You don't know who Andre Dawson is?
Nope.
Ryan Sandberg, Mark Grace?
Oh. I actually have it in my bedroom still. I won a Hall of Fame bat signed by Ryan Sandberg.
Whoa.
In a pack of Upper Deck baseball cards when I was in high school.
Really?
And I won this bat. Yeah. It's in my room. It's got the Hall of Fame, the number, like the whatever that is, the
It's,
serial number
yeah.
or whatever,
Yep.
the authentication sticker and everything. It's a prized possession, man. It's the
Wow.
old Louisville bat. Yep.
That's it. Was it used?
No,
No. Okay. Okay.
no. It's new, just signed. He probably signed. I don't know. Say he did 100 of them
Mm-hmm.
for when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and it's one of those.
And I'm gonna tell you, like, you're probably one of the first guests that I can ask this question to. What do you think's the biggest difference between that late '80s, '90s version of MLB baseball versus today? Like, what do you see as the biggest difference? Like,
Oh
is
man.
was it better then, or is it better now for you?
I that boils down to baseball purist. For me, I liked that baseball better, but that may be just because I was raised on it.
I'm the same.
I liked, the bunting. I liked the stealing, the hit and runs, the more finesse to it, making things happen. Um, the guys were grittier. We didn't have all these rules that kept people safe. If you went into second base to break up a double play, you were breaking kneecaps.
Yeah.
And I'm not advocating for violence, but it was just the game was, it was just played on a different level like that.
Yep.
Now it is much more for entertainment value. Let's keep the fans happy. Let's have big celebrations. Let's, home run or strikeout. And it's actually changing a little bit. I've been impressed this year. I don't know if it's some of the rules changes or if people are really starting to catch on that just waiting around on home runs and strikeouts is boring.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the game is kind of going back to where it was.
Yeah.
A lot more steals going on.
Yeah.
We're having. I know the strikeout numbers are still high, but I feel like there are more hitters that look like they are trying to be better all around hitters than just seeking the home run.
Right.
Um,
Man,
so
I love that era as well. I actually today I know the star players. I watch games as they come on TV, but I mean, I joke about this on the show all the time. I know more youth baseball players than I do MLB players these
My
days.
mom too.
Oh
She told
yeah,
me, she said when she went to Vegas this weekend, she was like, you know what? We should have gone to your baseball tournament this weekend. We could have saw this person, this person, this person, this person.
yeah,
And I was like, how do you even know these people? I don't even know these people.
yeah. Well, I mean, and honestly,
is that just social? Is that just social media? Like, how do y'all know youth baseball players?
social
I don't,
media. I mean, for
yeah.
me, it is. I mean, as I'm scrolling through looking for who we want to invite on the show, I'm generally looking for good person first. Like, I want to see work ethic. I'm not
Yeah,
just going after a kid just because he plays in a PG tournament or something. Like, I'm
yeah,
looking for people that I think can add some value to the show. But it's through social media, man. I mean, you start having conversations with the parents and you learn a little bit about the player. But that comes down to social media. I mean, now these big tournaments, you've got all of these kids have social media accounts now. I mean, and
yeah.
they're sharing everything. And really, our show has just become a big, like, you know, uh, an epic like a meeting place for youth athletes because
About to
we've
say like
we've
baseball and softball playground.
yeah, I mean, we are constantly continuing to grow our network and bringing more kids into the fold, and it's so cool that parents are now connecting, with other parents that had been on the show and stuff like that, and it's really cool. But again, like I love watching kids play baseball. I mean, to me, that's where baseball is at its truest in a lot of cases. You see in most cases kids having fun. You see, you know, kids learning how to, lead a team, how to be, what leadership looks like. And I mean, there's a lot of factors into it, of course, but I don't know. That's just me. I'm different.
It just has to be a good environment, man. I see, it's when you have these conversations, you catch both sides of it.
Hmm.
Oh, travel ball's horrible. These bad organizations are just money grabs and yada yada. And then on the backside of that, you have what you just said.
Yeah.
It's great experiences. Families are meeting people. You get to travel. You get to do fun things. The kids are loving life and everything else. I guess, goal when I was running travel teams and hope now is that people find an environment that they can grow both as a human, as a teammate, and then as an individual ball player.
Right.
And finding those organizations, those teams, those environments are getting increasingly more difficult because of the number of adults trying to make money in the industry.
I mean, well, where I live, I'm in South Carolina, and I've said this numerous times on the show, and if you coaches are listening, I don't really care, but every pissed off dad in the world starts a travel ball team. We have kids leaving rec and going travel ball at like 8U is where we're seeing a big movement outside of rec here in our community. And, we get a lot of questions from parents around, when should we go to travel ball or what should we be looking for? And I'd love to get your take on this as well before I even say what I tell the parents. What would you say to parents when they ask Josh, when should we go travel?
For me, and I've said this for a long time, like I said, I ran our travel program at Hardball for 8 years. And we had teams from, I think we had 9U
Mm-hmm.
up to 18U.
Okay.
And even though we had those teams, that was because people asked us to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm 12 years old, unless your kid is an absolute stud. I do not believe that there should be any travel ball that's not AAA or major level.
Right.
If you're a AA ball player, you're not a select ball player. Go play Little League.
We've watered down what it meant. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for me, it's 12 years old would be ideal. You keep the Little Leagues intact, the communities, you do all of that stuff. But again, I understand that there are super studs out there. If you have a 10-year-old that is just beating the doors off of everybody his age, okay, go find you a 10 major team and go do it.
Yeah.
But as a general rule, 12 years old and only AAA and major levels on up. I'm a big supporter of Little League. I'm a big supporter what we down here call Babe Ruth,
Mm-hmm.
which is okay. Do y'all have that there?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Cool. And then we have our Pony League.
Yep.
And then we have our American Legion.
Wow, you guys still focus on American Legion?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are kids that are still playing American Legion. When I was growing up in this area, I graduated high school in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
So there was 3 travel programs or teams, not even programs. There were 3 teams in the entire Houston area. If you made one of those teams, all right, you went to California, you went to Las Vegas, you went to Florida, you went to Georgia, you did all those things in the summer and the fall. But if you didn't make those teams, if you didn't make those 3 teams, you were playing Babe Ruth, Pony, American Legion. And then better luck next year when the tryouts came for those 3 teams. Now, obviously times change and we're going to evolve and do all that. But for me, and this, I get on a little bit of soapbox about this. I've told people, travel should be done in regions. And if you want to start at, let's just use 12 years old as an example, as a starting point.
Yep.
At 12 years old, you go and you try out for your region's 12U major team. So, it would be the Houston, Galveston, Corpus area. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you have another one that would be like San Antonio, Austin, West Texas. And then you have Dallas, Lubbock, North Texas. And those are your 3 regions in Texas. So you go and you try out for those teams. Those teams then go and play in big tournaments with other teams from different regions. And that's true travel baseball, true select baseball. If you don't make those teams, you stay at home and you do your city leagues or whatever. Yeah. and you get better. So that's
To me, that's perfect because that teaches a kid, look, I'm not going to get what I want every time I want it. And
yep,
sometimes I got to put in extra work. And I think
yeah,
that's where, like, I see I mean, again, there's a travel ball team at every corner. And like, I see all of these tournaments. And I think we both can agree there's some tournaments out there that cater to, and not that this is a bad thing. And I don't mean to say this in a bad thing, but cater to that low
hmm
level travel
yeah,
team. and
absolutely,
then you see, they're holding these championship banners because they won the bronze bracket, and it's like, I want to be happy for them, but then I want the parents to really understand what that is.
yeah.
It's like there's a progression in baseball, and it's you just can't create a team just to make a kid good. I mean,
Yeah, well, there was something that was pretty eye-opening. It was 2 years ago, and the number that I'm about to throw out there isn't exact. Um, but we had one of the big NITs
mhm.
down here in the Houston area, and I had a kid that was playing on now he was good. He was playing on a 12 major team in the NIT, and we were just talking. I was like, hey, what teams are you looking forward to playing? Yada yada, and his dad said there are and again, this number is not exact. It was over 200.
Mhm.
There are 250 12U baseball teams in this tournament.
God, most.
250. Now, again, maybe not exact, but over 200. Just 12U teams. It was nuts. And these tournament, and that goes like from AA, AAA, major, just all over. But yeah, it's exactly about money. I helped a little 10U team this year, and I went to the NIT there, and the number of 10U teams, it's crazy. If there was a ballpark, y'all, if there was a ballpark available in the Houston area and within 50 miles outside of it, it was being used for that NIT. And it just you cannot get me to believe that there's that many good baseball players.
Right.
And I went and I watched games and I was like, why are they even on this field?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like,
so
to me, like it like now you've got a World Series for each tournament company brand,
hmm
and like we may have a World Series in South Carolina, a World Series in Louisville, Kentucky, Texas, all these different places, and like, why can't we just come together and, like, I mean, Little League does it, I mean,
yeah,
Little League has that World Series, and do something like that for travel. But if you go win a Top Gun tournament and you win their World Series, and then you go win a USSSA tournament, then, I mean, I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of there's just too much mess in the system. I think is a lot of it,
yeah.
and
There's a lot of mess. And I've done a lot of talking with people about it because, again, I love this game.
yeah,
Like I will point out the things that I see as a problem and the things that I, sometimes ridiculous and whatnot. But I love it, and I want as many players to enjoy it and get as good as humanly possible. It just doesn't require your family to pay a mortgage every month to
you
do it.
you damn right.
And so it's like there's why with all the abundance of cash that parents are spending on this and people, ex players, millionaires that just love the game. This was something that was brought up in another live I did. Start building academies like they do in the Latin American countries.
Yeah,
Build baseball academies. And then all the players can go. If you want to be a ball player, then your parents can pay money. You can go to this academy. You can get your education just like you do in your school. And then you get to play baseball.
yep,
And those academies start to create the teams that then travel. And again, going back to how I was talking about the regions, and you can do it that way. There is no reason for every single family that wants to play travel baseball to be doing the things that people do. And a lot of times, if you get the kids by themselves and they are candid with you, They will tell you, I'm tired of being in a hotel. I'm tired of being in a car. I'm tired of waking up at 6 a.m. for 8 a.m. games on Saturday. Like, now they're going to tell their parents with a straight face, oh,
What
I
they
love
want
it.
to hear.
Yeah. But you can't. Baseball and softball, well, softball's a little different because of the pitching situation. But this game was not designed to play 4 games in a day
Right.
or 3 games in a day.
Yep.
It's just not. And when you start doing that to young bodies, then people, you bring out the burnout and you talk about injuries and everything else. For me, especially from being a hitting instructor, the mental side of that.
Right.
Just the mental capacity that it takes to stand in a batter's box and perform over and over and over and over again. You're asking some 9-year-old kid to do it, 20 times in a weekend. A major leaguer does it 4 times in a game and then gets a full day rest.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's honestly, that's what I've found a lot, Josh, is, travel ball now and baseball don't have a season anymore. Like it's year round. And like at some point in time, first of all, let kids be kids. Like let them have a childhood. And yes, I know hanging out on the weekends and traveling with friends and families and stuff are fun, but like, I've heard the same thing, Josh. You pull the kid away from the parents or you have them away from it. And you're like, man, you're doing a lot of traveling, and you kind of pep them up. And it's like, how much do you love this? Like, man, I really wish I was home, like swimming with my friends or something, and it's like the kid, baseball is, and this is, I've said this so many times too, baseball is a hard enough sport as it is, and it's going to get even harder for these kids. If they don't love it at an early age, they can't take it. I mean, they won't be able to take it.
No doubt. I work with a kid. One of my online clients lives out in Vegas, and he's really good. He's a young kid, but he's really good. His dad called me, and he is like, he's again one of those dads that understands that he doesn't know. He wasn't a ball player. He uses me basically for consulting. Like, what should I do here? What should I do here?
Right.
That type of deal.
Yeah.
His 9U team, between the middle of February and the middle of May, had played 90 baseball games.
Wow. 9U?
9U. They had played in a tournament every single weekend from the middle of February to the middle of May, and it was a team that was getting into semifinals and championships. 90 baseball games.
They don't have that many pitchers to cover 90 games. That's a lot of throwing.
Bro, it's crazy. And the dad was like, this seems like a lot to me. I was like, you need to give your son a break. I was like, do not sign up for summer baseball. I was like, that is insane.
Well, then you got parents, though. See, what happens is you got parents that listen to other parents.
Oh, yeah.
And then they think, well, if I give my kid a season off, he's going to get behind. And it's like, that's not how it works. Like,
I tell people all the time, you take your breaks.
Well,
whether that's at the end of summer into fall, whether that's all fall, whatever the case is.
Well, I talked to Johnny Gomes from the Red Sox. He's going to be coming on the show soon. And, he's got 4 boys, and he follows the seasons with his boys. Like, during baseball season, that's what we do. And like he said, at the end of one of the seasons, one of his sons made an all-star team or something.
Lila was like, "Oh my god!"
I know. Lila, wake up!
I'm tired.
I know
still.
It's early. Wake up!
I might go back to sleep after this.
Oh, well,
we should have a yawn counter.
Yawn?
Like, I've yawned so many times.
At
least 10.
Ding 1, ding 2. We'll have
yeah,
to do
just
that.
like clips. On TikTok, you gotta have the clips of me yawning because I've yawned so many times.
Look how entertaining this interview was. But anyway, he follows the seasons, and if he gets offers to for his kids to play on into the summer, he's like, nope, don't care.
Yeah,
like we're gonna stop during the season. We're gonna play football in the fall, and whatever else. And I think I don't. Again, going back to can we prescribe what's perfect for every kid? I don't think we can ever do that. But I don't know. It's we're
Lila,
trying to
you
manufacture.
got any more hitting questions? I like
I
your
do
questions.
not.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
man.
I'm done.
man, that last question was good. Like,
All your interview, like in your intro, you answered like 4 of my questions.
Sorry.
well, so
Stealing your thunder and didn't even know it.
well, Lila takes hitting instructions.
I do.
Okay.
We've had her coach on the show as well. And Lila, what have you learned most from your hitting coach that you wouldn't have picked up on your own?
Just to stay consistent, even when I'm not even in, like, because I only get to go to his lessons 1 time a week. So just staying consistent and doing it in my backyard by myself, that's going to get me way better than just doing it 1 time a week.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Well, that's a big one there.
Oh, huge. Consistency is king. Consistency in your practice and whatnot. I have my hitters, they have a hitting notebook, just a little spiral. I don't, until the teenagers, I'll let use their phone. I don't really like it, but it's a battle that's not worth fighting.
Yep.
But with the young ones, I actually have them bring in a notebook and they have to write down like notes for the lessons. And then I'll give them like a certain video from my YouTube channel to do for that week to work through. And they have to write down what they're doing for practice. I have a little formula just over the years that I kind of developed that has seemed to help is if you take your age and divide it by 2 and then multiply that by 100. So let's say that you're 10, okay? Divide by 2 is 5 times 100, 500. That's how many swings you should be taking in a week outside of your 1 time a week lesson. And if you can kind of go with that as you get older, so a 14-year-old would be 700,
and so on, yeah.
And so on. That keeps us consistent. Now, the question I get is, oh my God, how am I going to take that much batting practice? That number doesn't mean full on batting practice. If you were standing in front of your mirror in your bathroom and you're just watching your load, your gather, and your stretch, that would be 1. Like that's a rep. You're doing something hitting related. If you're doing bottom hand work, every bottom hand rep would count. It doesn't mean 700, full swings. So,
now,
but always getting that work in somehow.
What does your conversation look like with your parents and your players that you're working with? Now, obviously, I think probably most of the older kids understand the value of tee work. But, from my experience, I have seen parents sign their kids up for hitting lessons. And then I coach the team that the kid's on. And then I have a conversation with the parent around, like, do they have a bat and tee at home? Are they using the things that we talk about in practice at home on their batting tee? Well, they're like, no, we didn't get him a batting tee because we didn't think that was really what he needed, and so we got him this other big device. And I'm like, all you need is a bat and tee and a net.
Yeah.
Like, just keep it simple. Like, what's that look like from your side?
I think that same. Yeah. There are parents that don't understand the value of a tee. There are parents. Some of what we have to do as coaches these days is educate parents.
That's it. Yep.
Honestly, and they're not doing it. They're not dumb. They just don't know any better. If you didn't play this game, there are literally parents that think if they pay for 1 hour lesson a week, that I'm going to turn their kid into some superstar. And and if you've never played and don't understand how many reps it takes and how hard this is, then okay. But I have that conversation all the time. You're paying for lessons here, but all the information and the benefits and the improvement are going to happen in what you do at home.
Yeah.
All I do in lessons is I try to relate it to like school and puzzles for people. Mm-hmm. Like this is like a connect the dots puzzle. I'm giving you the dots. You have to go home and figure out how to connect those dots for you. We come back. I'm going to connect some more dots and we go back and forth with this. But if you are relying solely on your 30-minute or your hour lesson once a week to transform you as a hitter, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Yeah. And for that matter, your hour and a half practice that you may have once or twice a week, if you're only relying on that practice, it's not going to work. I mean,
yeah, and I think that sometimes people think that it has to be something fancy to get it done.
yeah.
And that's the opposite of truth.
Yeah.
You know, if you're an infielder, Lila, what position you play?
I'm a catcher.
You're a catcher.
Yep.
All right, you can go get in your catching stance and take a tennis ball and bounce it off your back wall and work on your receiving or your blocking or you know whatever the case is. If you're an infielder, learn to juggle. Like there's just things that you can always do that will help to improve your game. That doesn't have to be mom or dad throwing to you, mom or dad hitting to you, you know, at a field.
Yep.
If there's just, and I think that people sometimes either just don't really know, don't think about it, aren't creative enough. But it's crazy. Like I have for one of my infield drills that I do in the facility, it's one of those little trampolines, like the mini trampolines. Kick it up on the wall, prop it up, put a dumbbell in front of it so it doesn't fall over, and have them throw it off the trampoline and field.
There
You get
go.
a different bounce every time. It comes out different, and they can sit there and they can get 50 ground balls in 10 minutes. You know,
dude.
So,
I used to throw a well, I don't think I threw a baseball. If I did, my dad would kick my butt if he heard this. But I'm pretty sure I used to throw tennis balls like up on our roof and like measure my reaction as to when because I didn't see the ball coming back down. I'd bounce it off the side of the house. I mean, like I would just go out. Like I didn't have video game. Well, I did have a Nintendo, but I wanted to be outside playing. And I remember like my dad had bought me something and it was a baseball on a string or on a rope and swinging around.
Yeah.
And I ended up like no one was ever out there to swing it for me. So I tied the thing to a tree and then I just tossed it up. Like I would just toss it up and hit it. I mean, like I think that's imaginations are disappearing in this world today. And
1,000%. It's because free play has been taken out. Everything's so structured. Kids don't get out in the neighborhoods and just play and figure it out. 1,000. We could do a whole nother hour on that topic.
Well, you know what's funny is I grew up that way. I grew up, man. I got on my bicycle. I ran, knocked on people's doors, and wanted to play. And my son came up to me one day last year, I think it was, and he was like, "Well, can you call the neighbor down the street and see if their son can play?" And I'm like, "No, you go right down there and knock on the door."
Your bike down.
And my wife was like, "That's so weird. That's so awkward." And I'm like,
"What is
that's how we did it? Like, walk down there and have a personal talk to someone." And
knock on their front door.
Right.
Are you home? Would you like to come outside and play?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not texting all these neighbors. You get out on your bike. And now I'm in a fight with him right now, Lila, and you can tell me if I'm being a bad guy or not. He wants one of these scooters that go like 20 miles an hour.
Oh, like an electric scooter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have one of those, but those are cool.
He just got one for his birthday. I mean, he just got a new cool bicycle for his birthday in December. And I'm like, dude, I'm not getting you a scooter. I want you on that bicycle riding. Like, while all these other lazy kids are riding up and down the road, you're working out.
You're going to ride a bike.
That's right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you just want me to ride a bike and I can't have all the cool stuff. And I'm like, look, there's some parts of your childhood that you can't get back. So enjoy it and be a kid while you can and quit trying to be lazy. So, anyway. All right.
Aaron, you want to know?
What? Go ahead.
You want to know Ozzy's favorite game?
What's that?
So he has this little ball and it's attached to a string and I have to strap it to my wrist and he runs around in a circle and I try to hit him with the ball.
There
he said that's his favorite game that we play.
He's got a little brother and this dude is like amazing. And he's done an interview or two for us. He's
that's
I'm gonna call him over here.
No, we'll get him in a minute. We'll get him. So Josh, man, we're getting towards the end here.
All right.
I appreciate the hell out of you hanging tough with me like New Kids on the Block, and let's get this thing done.
Amen, brother.
Lila, thank you for getting up very early in the morning for us.
Thank you.
We still got one last question to ask him, and I'm going to let you do it since you about fall asleep on us. So, go ahead and ask that last question.
All right, you're walking up to the plate. What's your walk-up song?
Oh, I had this question the other day. Man, that is so tough.
This question stomps most people.
It's so hard because like I have my favorite bands.
Yep.
Like Incubus is my favorite band of all time.
Okay.
But they don't really have like a walk up. Probably gonna have to go old school and go Welcome to the Jungle on this one.
Oh,
Dude. GNR is my number one band, dude. Like
there it is.
When Slash and Axl got back together in 2017, I was in Vegas for the very first show. Huge
Sweet.
GNR fan.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. Welcome to the Jungle. There's some other like early '90s rap songs that I could go with, but that would be inappropriate.
Oh, dude, we're cut from the same. Dude, I went from '80s hair bands in the '80s. I didn't get into the grunge too much because like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all those guys killed my hair bands. So in the '90s, I went rap, hip hop, West Coast rap. So
there we go.
Like to me, it was rock and metal in the '80s, and then I went hip hop, West Coast gangster rap in the '90s, and now it's more country than anything.
The first CD that I ever owned was Poison.
Look what the cat drug in.
I don't even remember.
Open up, say ah.
It was green, and one of the songs on there that I still to this day could probably know every word to was "Every Rose Has a Storm."
Oh, that's Open Up, Say Ah. That's Open Up.
Okay, all right, there you go.
Dude,
so
I grew up on those bands, man. I wanted the big hair,
awesome.
Spandex. I wanted it all.
Spandex. I don't even want to think about it.
Now, back in the day, today you're not going to see 46-year-old Aaron in some spandex, but Lila, I might pull it out.
I bring that to Banana Boy, yeah.
All right, look, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna do, Lila, but I'm getting a special haircut for
you should get a mohawk.
Banana Ball. Nope.
You should get a big old yellow mohawk.
All right, I'm gonna give you one clue. Have you ever heard me say what my favorite baseball movie was?
Oh, I know what he's going to do.
You do? You know, Josh?
Yeah.
All right, my favorite baseball movie is Major League.
Yeah.
He's got it.
As soon as like there was only one option when we're talking about hair and baseball movies.
Hey, I don't think there's too many other options. Field of Dreams and all this other stuff. Yep, that's what we're going. Lila, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're just gonna have to go do some research.
Yeah, go check it out.
That's right. All right, Josh, tell everybody how we can find you, man.
All right, man. So on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, it is all Hitting Done Right, HDR with the initials. You can also visit my website, which is www.hittingdoneright.com. There you can get my merchandise, my online analysis, my customized practice plans. So hit me up and let's get better, man.
Awesome. Well, man, this was a great call. Lila, I'm sorry it wasn't just the most entertaining call for you.
No, it was entertaining. I'm just tired.
I tell you, hey, we had a good time before you came on.
Yeah.
I literally, like, when I hit the link and I had this little, like, young face looking at me, I was like, who are you? And I was like, where's your dad? And she's like,
Aaron, he thought you were my dad. He was like, where's your dad? Are you gonna be the host today? And I was like, Aaron is not my dad.
I was like, I was not informed that there was going to be a young person. Like, who are you? Am I in the right spot? Like,
well, so normally it's myself and Coach Jen, so Jen couldn't make this one, and so Lila has been like amazing filling in on episodes when we have it, and all our field reporters at different times are host on the show. So.
I think it's awesome that y'all are doing that.
Yeah,
so this was a good time.
This was it's really about keeping the kids involved, hoping to teach them some additional skill sets to use later in life, and having a lot of fun. So. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for helping me out get this show done. And for our listeners out there, make sure you go hit subscribe. Like,
thank you.
It's very simple. Just hit subscribe and tell everyone out there to go subscribe as well. So we hope to provide a little bit of entertainment and a lot of education with this show. So make sure you recommend it to friends and family. Go subscribe to all of our social media channels. Lila's giving us some more yawns. All right, Josh. So
all right.
You started the show. Now you get to end the show.
Okay.
All right.
Now, how do I get to end it however I want, or do you have a script?
No, we have a certain way we do it. So
okay.
All right. So here's what we do. At the end of every show, I'm going to say until next time, and you're going to say we will catch you on the slide.
All right.
In however way you want to say it. You don't have to say it like a robot like I did. So
okay. All
right, Lila. Have a great day. Wake up, go do something productive for the day. And
I'm going back to sleep.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good. All right, Josh. Until next time.
We'll catch you on the slide.
There you go.
We thank you for toughing it out and pushing through. Now, let's go teach the world great sportsmanship, leadership, to go inspire someone through your dedication and excitement for the game. Make sure to smash the like and follow button on all social media at The Slide Podcast Show and The Slide Pod on Twitter. Plus, leave us a review and feedback. Until next time, we'll catch you on the slide.